I don't know what set it off. It started with me complaining that Kate had been distant lately. Just little things like how she barely acknowledged me when I got home, or how her eyes would glaze over when I tried to talk about my day. I was frustrated, but it wasn't a big deal. At least, that's what I thought. "Are you really going to act like this over nothing?" Kate snapped, her voice sharp, like I'd just insulted her. "I'm not acting like anything," I said, trying to keep it level. I just want you to act like you care." She rolled her eyes and crossed her arms. "I'm tired of this, okay? You keep pushing me, making me feel like I'm failing at something. I don't have to make you happy." I froze. The words hit harder than I expected. The weight of them settled into my chest, like someone had taken a hammer to my ribs. What? I couldn't process it. "What do you mean you don't have to make me happy?" She shrugged, like it was obvious. "I'm not your therapist. I'm not your emotional support animal. I don't owe you my energy, especially when you're just gonna sit there and criticize me all the time." I blinked, the silence stretching between us. I felt like an idiot, like I'd just missed something huge. Something that had been there the whole time. She was right about one thing. I had been expecting something from her, something I hadn't even realized I needed. But that hit harder than anything she'd said in years. I started to think fast. All the little things I'd done for her over the years, surprising her with flowers when she was stressed, making sure her favorite snacks were always in the house, even the trips I'd planned just to get her to smile. Had she ever done any of that for me? Had she ever really gone out of her way for me, the way I had for her? The answer hit me, and it was like a punch to the gut. I'd been the one holding this whole damn thing together. I was the one trying, always trying, and now, I was the only one in it. She was done, and I was just here. I kept hearing her words echoing in my head. "I don't have to make you happy." It felt like a punch I couldn't dodge. I'd always been the one doing everything, the little gestures, the grand ones, the remembering of birthdays and anniversaries, the planning of dinners and getaways. I'd put in the effort, I always did. It was just who I was. But as the days went by after that fight, I couldn't shake the feeling that something had broken. I spent hours just thinking back, wondering if I'd ever really felt seen, appreciated. I started to list everything I had done for her. Surprises, thoughtful little things, the way I'd put aside my own needs just to make sure she felt valued, every damn time. And then I thought about how many times she had done the same for me, or, more accurately, how many times she hadn't. There had been little signs, sure. The way she barely looked up from her phone when I told her something important. How I'd been the one to rearrange the house, plan meals, organize our schedules. She hadn't been bad, but she hadn't really been there either. And somewhere, over the years, I'd let that slide. I'd been holding it together, holding us together, all this time. One day at work, I started to think about what it would feel like if I just stopped. I was sitting in my office, staring at my computer, and for the first time, I realized how easy it would be to just let go. No more trying, no more worrying about her or what she needed. What if I just withdrew completely? What if I took her advice, "My happiness is my problem," and actually lived by it? So, that's exactly what I did. It wasn't dramatic at first. I didn't just start yelling or storming out. I took a more subtle approach. I ignored her texts when she messaged me during the day. Didn't answer a single one. When I got home, I didn't ask about her day. Didn't bring up anything important. I stopped doing all the little things I used to do without thinking. Loading the dishwasher, folding the laundry, picking up groceries. She could do it. If I didn't do it, maybe she'd start doing it. At first it felt weird, empty. But then, after a few days, it felt like relief. No more walking on eggshells. No more trying to keep things from falling apart. I started to notice something strange. The house felt quieter. Not in a peaceful way, but in that tense, uncomfortable silence that fills the space between two people when they don't know what to say to each other anymore. I was just waiting for her to react, waiting for her to notice, waiting for her to finally step up and do something, anything. But she didn't. The first time I didn't check in, she sent me a text. "Did you leave already?" I didn't respond. I couldn't. It felt too final, too solid to go back now. The silence felt different that night. It wasn't like the usual hum of background noise or the familiar sounds of her walking around, cleaning up after herself, cooking. There was no sound at all, just me sitting on the couch, scrolling through my phone, pretending like it didn't matter. I left my plate in the sink, left my coat on the chair, left everything where it was, the way she always did, the way I had always tried to avoid. She didn't say anything at first, but I noticed her frustration, her quiet sighs as she passed by the dishes, as she stared at the mess I'd left behind. She had always been the one who complained about me not doing enough around the house. Now, she said nothing, just went about her business like it was all normal, though I could feel the shift, the small but heavy silence between us. And for some reason, it felt empowering, like I was finally free. No more nagging her to do this or clean that. No more asking, no more hinting. I wasn't playing her game anymore. I wasn't the one who had to try to fix everything. I wasn't the one who had to always show up. I thought back to the times when I did try, when I'd make small gestures to get her attention just for her to brush me off. I remembered how I'd kiss her neck after a long day, and she'd pull away, distracted by whatever was on her phone. How I'd tell her I loved her, and she'd nod without even looking at me. How, after months of this, I stopped trying to initiate anything. And now, I realized, she didn't care. She never had. She didn't care when I reached out. So, why should I keep putting myself out there? I had been bending over backward, trying to make her feel wanted, loved. But now, I saw the truth. I wasn't even on her radar unless I was a problem. So, I stopped, and she noticed. But she didn't ask. Not yet. The next morning, I left without a word. Didn't ask her how her day was going. Didn't offer to help with anything. She didn't ask where I was going. Didn't check in. Not even a simple, be careful, as I left the door. That was when I knew. It wasn't just about her anymore. It was about me. I wasn't going to keep giving in. Not anymore. If she wanted me, she could finally show up for once. A few days went by. Kate's silence had started to shift. Into tension, into frustration. She wasn't just annoyed anymore. She was unsettled. It was Sunday evening when she finally said something. She'd been trying to make small talk all day, but I hadn't engaged. When I was heading into the kitchen for a drink, she stopped me. "Is something wrong?" she asked, her tone tight but controlled. I didn't look at her. "What do you mean?" "I don't know. You've just been acting so distant, cold, like you don't care." I finally looked at her, my gaze steady. "I guess I just realized something," I said, my voice calm, even though my chest was tight. "My happiness is my own problem." She blinked at me, like I'd said something completely out of left field. Then she rolled her eyes, that old dismissive look slipping into her face. "Oh, please, don't start being dramatic. I get it. You're mad, but this isn't the way to fix it." I felt a strange clarity, like everything that had been sitting on my chest for months, maybe years, had finally lifted. I wasn't angry, but I was done. "Okay," I said, shrugging, "but I'm not fixing anything. You can if you want, but I'm not going to play along anymore." Her expression faltered, confusion flashing in her eyes. She didn't respond, just stood there, trying to process what I said. For the next few days, she tried to make things right. She cooked meals, the ones I used to love. She asked if I wanted to go out, tried to initiate some kind of date night. At first, I didn't even acknowledge it. Then, when I saw how desperate her efforts were, I refused. "No thanks," I'd say, or "I'm not hungry." I didn't even look at the meals she put in front of me. It was all too little, too late. I realized, as she kept pushing, how much of this had always been on my shoulders. She had never made this kind of effort unless I forced it, and even then, it was half-hearted at best. I began to notice her friends starting to ask questions. One night, a friend of hers called while I was in the other room. I could hear her talking in low tones, something about how she didn't understand what had happened, why I was being so distant. I'd overheard enough of it to know they were all wondering the same thing, but none of them knew what I knew. They didn't know what it felt like to put everything into someone and never get anything back, to wait for someone to notice you're drowning and then watch them just float. I didn't care about the questions or the guilt trip she was trying to pull with the cooking and the "we need to talk" lines. It wasn't just about the fact that she was acting like I was the problem now. It was about the fact that she wasn't really seeing me. She never had. It was a Thursday night when Kate called me, just as I was about to leave the bar with my friends. Her voice on the other end was sharp, irritated. "Where are you?" she asked. I was a little buzzed, but not enough to not know where this was going. "Out with friends," I said, a little more casual than usual. "You didn't tell me you were going out." I shrugged, though she couldn't see me. "I didn't think I needed to." There was a pause. "Well, you're not even going to tell me when you'll be home?" she asked, her voice rising. Nope, I said flatly, the words feeling good in my mouth. She didn't say anything for a moment. I could hear her breathing on the other end. I used to do a lot of things, I interrupted, feeling a flicker of something I hadn't felt in months. Confidence. But I'm not doing that anymore. Her voice dropped, still tense but tinged with confusion. What does that even mean? You can't just disappear and not let me know. I chuckled bitterly. I'm not disappearing. I'm just living my life without worrying about how you feel about it. She got upset then, and I felt it more than heard it. The disappointment in her voice, the frustration. I can't believe this. You're really going to do this to me, aren't you? I didn't care anymore. Not about her reaction, not about her guilt tripping me. I enjoyed the sense of freedom, the lack of pressure. No more walking on eggshells. No more worrying if she'd be upset if I didn't text her every hour or ask about her day. Yeah, I am, I said, not even a trace of regret in my voice. You never once cared about how I felt. So, why should I keep pretending I care about how you feel? I could hear her breathing, fast now, but I didn't give her the chance to say anything more before I hung up. When I got home that night, it was quiet. Too quiet. She hadn't left the lights on for me like she used to when I'd come back late. No quick kiss on the cheek, no casual, "How was your night?" No mention of how she'd missed me. I walked in, tossed my keys on the table, and just stood there. She came into the room a few minutes later, her face tight with frustration. I don't know what's going on with you, but this isn't normal, she said. I've been asking you what's wrong for days. Don't you care enough to talk to me? I looked at her, and for the first time in forever, I didn't feel like I owed her an explanation. I'm fine. I'm just not interested in pretending anymore. That seemed to confuse her even more. Pretending? What do you mean pretending? I'm trying here. But I wasn't interested in her efforts anymore. I wasn't interested in pretending I didn't see the cracks, pretending that she actually cared. I'd spent years asking her about her day, trying to get her to engage, trying to show her that I mattered too. But she'd never asked about mine, never once showed genuine interest in how I was feeling or what was going on in my head. No, she wasn't trying. Not really. And I couldn't keep convincing myself otherwise. I looked at her coldly. No, you're not. You're trying to fix something that's been broken for a long time, and I'm done with it. She didn't answer, but I could see the hurt in her eyes. It wasn't that she was sorry, she was just scared. She didn't like this new version of me. I was fine with it. It felt better than anything I'd felt in a long time. The next morning, Kate woke up early and made breakfast, scrambled eggs, bacon, toast. She even brewed my coffee the way I liked it, just the way she used to when things were normal, I guess. I stood in the kitchen, watching her as she placed everything on the table, trying to be casual, trying to act like things hadn't shifted. She glanced at me, almost nervously. Hey, she said, forcing a smile, I made breakfast. Thought we could start the day off, right? I sat down, not really looking at her, just pushing the food around on my plate. I could feel her eyes on me, waiting for something. I didn't give her the satisfaction of responding right away. Finally, I took a breath. You're really doing this now? After everything? She frowned, the smile slipping a little. What do you mean? I didn't even have to think about it. It was too obvious. I mean, you're trying to fix something that's been broken for a long time. But this, I waved my hand over the breakfast spread. This is just too little, too late. Her face tightened, but she didn't argue. Instead, she tried another angle. Well, what if I make dinner tonight? You've been working a lot, and I thought it'd be nice to... I interrupted her, my voice flat. No, I don't want dinner. I don't want any of this. You don't get to just show up with breakfast and pretend like it's all fine. I could feel the tension rising between us, but I didn't care. The more she tried, the more it all felt like a performance. Nothing real. Just a scramble to get back to what she wanted, and I wasn't interested. She looked at me, hurt flashing across her face, but she didn't say anything. Just walked away, retreating into the silence I'd left for her. Later that week, we had dinner with some of her friends. As soon as we sat down, I noticed the glances, the awkwardness in the air. They were all looking at me, then at her, like they were trying to figure out what was wrong. At some point, one of them pulled Kate aside. I overheard a few words, too low for me to make out fully, but the tone was clear. They were asking about me, about us. I didn't care, but I knew she wasn't fooling anyone. She laughed it off when she came back to the table, but it didn't reach her eyes. I could see it, the frustration, the confusion, the desperation. She wasn't just trying to save our relationship anymore. She was trying to figure out what had happened to me. That night, when I went to bed, I overheard her talking to her best friend on the phone in the living room. "I don't know what's happening with him," Kate said, her voice strained. "He's just so distant. I've asked him, but he won't open up. I don't get it." I closed my eyes and listened to her frustration, to the way she couldn't even recognize me anymore. She was scared now, and I could hear it in every word. She didn't know how to fix it because she didn't know what was broken. The truth hit me like a slap in the face. She'd never really seen me, not like she should have, not like I'd seen her. I didn't respond to her calls or her attempts to talk to me that night. I was done pretending that everything could go back to the way it was. The more she tried to pull me back, the more I retreated. I couldn't help but wonder if she was finally starting to get it, that maybe, for once, I wasn't going to be the one to fix everything. But by the time she figured it out, I already knew. I didn't want to go back to what we had. It wasn't enough. It had been a week since I'd started pulling away. A week of her trying, sometimes subtly, sometimes desperately, to fix things, and me just letting it happen without playing along. I wasn't angry anymore. I was just done. But that day, Kate couldn't take it anymore. She stood in the living room, arms crossed tightly, her voice barely above a whisper, but charged with something like desperation. "Are you trying to punish me?" she asked, her eyes wide, like she was trying to figure out some puzzle that didn't make sense. I didn't even flinch. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't feel the need to defend myself. I just looked at her, steady, calm. "No," I said, my voice flat. "You said my happiness is my problem, so I'm just following your advice." Her face shifted, her confusion giving way to something darker, something almost understanding. She swallowed, and for a moment, she didn't say anything. And that's when it hit me. She wasn't seeing me as a partner anymore. She was seeing me as a problem, as a thing to fix. She'd always relied on me to keep the relationship afloat, to make sure things didn't fall apart. And when I stopped trying, when I stopped being the one who cared, everything started to unravel. I watched her face change. The fight was gone. Not the angry, frustrated fight, but the hope. She wasn't fighting for us anymore. She was just trying to figure out what to do next. She didn't know what to do with the silence, with me not reacting, not responding the way I always did. That's when I realized something. This wasn't just a shift in the relationship. It was a shift in me. For the first time, I was choosing my own happiness. I was choosing not to let her drag me down, not to wait around for her to notice me or care. And as much as it hurt to see her like this, it felt liberating. I didn't have to keep bending over backward, asking for crumbs of affection or attention. I didn't have to keep filling in the gaps when she couldn't or wouldn't show up. I could see the cracks in our dynamic, clearly now. How I'd been the one to plan everything, to make sure we had a life together, while she coasted along, acting like nothing was ever out of place. I'd made the effort to keep us connected. She'd made the effort to keep herself comfortable. "You really think I'm doing this to punish you?" I said, my voice calm but sharp now. "I'm not. I'm just done trying to fix something that's never been broken for you." Her face tightened, her breath catching. But I wasn't finished. "I've been the one holding everything together for years. I'm not doing it anymore." She opened her mouth like she wanted to say something, but I didn't give her the chance. "I'm the one who made sure we stayed close. I'm the one who remembered your birthdays, your favorite things, who planned everything. When's the last time you did any of that for me?" I was starting to get worked up now, but I didn't care. "When was the last time you looked at me and really saw me?" Her face fell. She took a step back, like she was hearing me for the first time. "I don't want you to fix this anymore. I don't want you to fix anything," I continued. "I just want to stop pretending I'm the one who's responsible for everything. For your happiness, too." The silence between us felt thicker now, and I saw her shoulders slump, the last of her defenses cracking. "I don't know what to do," she said, her voice small now, almost defeated. I didn't feel sympathy. I didn't feel anger. I just felt tired and detached. "I think you've known what to do for a long time," I said, stepping away. "You just never bothered." I didn't wait for her response. There was nothing left to say. The truth was out there, and for once I wasn't the one scrambling to fix it. I had taken control of my own life, and in doing so, I was finally letting go. A few more days passed. The silence between us thickened, but I could feel her efforts shifting into something else, something almost desperate. She was trying again, doing the things she used to do when she was afraid of losing me. She'd make dinner and set the table like we were still living in some version of what we once had. When I'd come home, she'd ask how my day went, her voice edged with concern. But there was no real connection, no warmth. I didn't respond to any of it. I just went through the motions. Then, one night, after days of this silent tension, she snapped. "Are we just going to keep living like this?" she asked, her voice breaking through the quiet. She was standing in the living room, hands clenched into fists by her sides. Like strangers? I didn't move. I stayed on the couch, watching her, the words hitting me in a way I wasn't prepared for. Like strangers? I repeated, letting the words sit in the air. Is that really how you see it? As if we've just become strangers? As if this is some new thing? She stepped closer, the frustration pouring out of her. Then what the hell do you want from me? I'm trying, okay? I'm trying to fix this, to fix us, but you keep pulling away. You've been cold for weeks. I stood up slowly, the weight of everything settling into my chest, but not with the sting of anger, just a dull, resigned ache. You've been treating me like I don't matter for years, Kate, like I'm disposable. You've never once asked how I feel. You never cared enough to make sure I was happy. Her face faltered, her expression changing for the first time in a long while. I could see the realization starting to hit her, and it wasn't a soft one. It was like something inside her cracked. "No," she whispered, her voice wavering. "That's not true." But I could hear it in her voice, the pleading that didn't belong. She was trying to deny what I just said, trying to soften it, but I couldn't let her. "Yes, it is," I said, my voice steady, no hint of softness in it. "I've been the one holding us together, doing everything, and you've just been—" "What?" Sitting back, expecting me to keep it all running. "And now, when I stop trying, now you want to fix it?" She took a step forward, reaching for me, but I pulled back, the distance between us widening even though we were standing in the same room. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice breaking, tears welling up in her eyes. "I didn't realize. I didn't know you felt that way." I shook my head. "You didn't care how I felt. That's the problem." She was quiet for a moment, then choked out, "I'm sorry. Please, just don't do this. Don't leave me." I looked at her then, really looked at her. The woman I'd tried for, the woman I'd loved, and for the first time, I didn't feel anything but emptiness. She was crying now, the tears spilling down her face, but I didn't reach for her. I didn't comfort her. I didn't feel that urge anymore. I wasn't mad. I wasn't even sad. I was just gone. "I'm not leaving you, Kate," I said quietly, finally meeting her gaze. "I'm already gone." Her sobs grew louder, and she fell into me, trying to hold on, but I didn't move. I didn't wrap my arms around her the way I would have once. I didn't do anything, and that was when I realized the truth. I still loved her, but I didn't want this anymore. This version of us, this relationship that had become a shadow of what it once was. It wasn't enough. It hadn't been enough for so long. I wasn't sure I could go back to it. Even if I still cared, I didn't know if I could stay in something that had already died for me. "I can't do this anymore," I said, the words slipping out without any fight. She collapsed against me, her sobs shaking her entire body, but I stayed still, like stone. I had no desire to comfort her. I had no desire to fix it. I'd already checked out, and now it was just her realizing it too. And in that moment, I finally understood something. Maybe I still loved her, but love alone wasn't enough to make me want to stay. Kate tried one last time. It was the same night after I'd finally told her that I couldn't do this anymore. She sat in front of me, her face a mix of desperation and confusion, her voice shaking. "Please don't give up on us," she begged. "I know I've screwed up, but I'm trying, okay? I'm really trying to fix this. Don't walk away." I stood there, just staring at her. I could feel the weight of her words, but there was no tug anymore. No ache in my chest, no desire to fix it. The pull that had once kept me holding on had unraveled, and now all I felt was exhaustion. "Kate," I said slowly, not even sure how to phrase it anymore. "I don't know if I can do this anymore. I don't know if I can go back to pretending it's fine." She shook her head, her eyes wide with panic. "You don't mean that. You can't. Please, please don't leave me." Her voice cracked, and I felt a brief flash of the woman I used to love, the one I would have done anything for. But that woman was gone, replaced by someone who only saw me when it was too late. "I'm not leaving," I said, my voice distant, calm. "I'm already gone, Kate." She fell silent, her hands trembling as she reached for me, but I took a step back. I wasn't angry anymore, but there was nothing left. No more fight, no more care. I could see the desperation on her face, the panic as she clung to me, but I felt nothing. I wasn't moved by her pleading, by the tears falling down her face. It was like I was watching someone else's heartbreak, not mine. "I'm sorry," she whispered, but I didn't believe it, not anymore. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. My heart had been slipping away from her for so long, and now I was finally seeing it for what it was, a relationship that had already died, even if she hadn't noticed yet. I've tried, Kate. I've tried for years, but I can't keep giving and getting nothing in return. I don't want this anymore. I turned and walked toward the door, the sound of her crying echoing in the room behind me. I didn't look back, and as I stepped outside into the cool night air, I felt a strange sense of finality. The thing I'd been afraid of for so long, the thing I'd been avoiding, was finally here. I had already checked out. There was no going back.